Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order and acknowledge that we're in Treaty 1 territory, the home and traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Ojibwe, Innu, Cree, and Dakota peoples, and in the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Our drinking water comes from Shoal Lake 40 First Nation in Treaty 3 territory. My name is Lynn Nesbitt. I'm chairing today's panel. Joining me on the panel are Kent Seelan and Richard Whitbread. The secretary to our board today is Jaswinder Kumar, and our assessor is Svetlana Shebel. We'll be hearing applications for revision of the business assessment role in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act and the City of Winnipeg Charter. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that are made at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value, or to the Court of King's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the points of appeal with your property to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all of the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the board's decision by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. We'll be hearing items 1 through 9 on our docket today. Mr. Kumar, please affirm the assessor's and applicant's testimony.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Assessor, please state your full name.
Svetlana Shebel.
Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. Smith, please state your full name. Robert Smith. Thank you. Do you affirm that the evidence you are about to give at this hearing is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, and good morning, Ms. Shebel and Mr. Smith. Before we begin, are there any preliminary issues that we need to discuss?
No.
No, I don't believe so.
Okay, so I note that the all agenda items are auto dealerships, and that the evidence that's been presented in each of the items is consistent throughout the whole document, the whole docket. So I would think that probably what we could do is spend a little bit more time on item number 1 and go through the evidence in some detail. And then if people are in agreement, have that evidence carried through to items 2 through 9. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes.
It does. There is one exception, but
okay. Yeah, and where there are exceptions, of course, we can deviate from that. Now, it only makes sense to do that. Okay, and it looks to me to be a fairly heavy docket with 9 items. So if we can try to keep the presentations, questions, and answers fairly concise, that would be great. Of course, not limiting the presentation or the materials you'd like to present. We want to hear everything. Okay, so with that, we'll start with item number 1 on our agenda, 1300 Regent Avenue West. Ms. Shebel, when you're ready, please.
File number 22-4085. Business ID is 41190. Owner of business Birchwood Keystone 4. We did assess business at total rental value of $957,300 with premise area of 57,743 square feet. In our overall rent per square foot, $16.58 is overall rent include occupancy cost. Our base assessed rent value $14.26. On page number 2, I present air, photo, and street view of subject property. It's a complete auto dealership located on land area over 200,000 square feet, zoning C3 commercial corridor. It is building actual built in 2022 with leasable area of 57,743 square feet. On page number 3, I have presented rent comparables retail properties. It's 28 rent comparables. It's retail big box stores. We can see that our total area over 532,000. In our weight average for this type of big boxes, $18.01. For 28 comparables average, or it's $18.83, and media $18.27. On page number 4, I have presented rent comparables of service garages. It's 15 comparables. We can see that average $16.42 and media $15.50. We did assess property at $14.26. It's fair. On page number 5, income expense mailer provided to us. It's owner occupied property. I provide occupancy permit that it's building occupied in March 2022, and also permits about construction. First permits showed construction of 174,000. Another construction permit for we don't have construction declare value, but it's about construction existing buildings in 2002. So based on comparables, the assessment is fair. It should be confirmed at $957,300. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Ms. Shavel. Mr. Smith, do you have any questions?
Yes, I do. And as you suggested, Madam Chair, please carry forward, if you would, the questions that I have on the first property. They'll largely apply to all the rest of them, if that's all right with you.
Yes, I think so.
Okay. Just looking at page number 2 very quickly here. So the middle photograph on the left-hand side there, that would be the that is not the subject as it currently stands, is that right? That's the former Ford auto dealership, is that correct?
Yes, we have two buildings, 2 improvements on one property.
No, we don't. We only have one building on the property. The new 1300 Regent is the Ford auto dealership. It's a single property.
Birchwood Ford, when we see street view, yes, correct.
Okay. Okay, and then just to confirm, so I've obviously done quite a number of these automobile dealerships in this cycle and past cycles. And in looking at the rent comparables that are shown on page number 3 of your brief there, these would be the standard 28 big box retail comparables that the city is using in all of the auto dealership appeals. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so they'd be identical to all of the past ones that have been covered.
Correct.
Okay. And the same would hold true with the VSG rent comparables on page number 4?
Correct.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify that. So in looking at the retail big box comparables that are shown on page number 3, I went through each of them to determine what they are, and in looking at them, is it fair to say that they all fall within one of 5 retail big box nodes, that being Polo Park, number 1, number 2, the Lagimodiere and Regent Power Center node, number 3 being Garden City, number 4 being the IKEA/Seasons of Tuxedo node, and then number 5 being Keniston and McGilvery.
Yes, but you look on comparable number 27. It's located on region 1610 region. We can see this building built in 2011. No, and the rent started 2013 for over around 24,000 square feet. It's $18.93, $19 per square foot. Its start lease negotiated 2013. This $19 per square foot have to upward adjustment for 8 years time adjustment. And this big box comparables, big box retail comparables showed because car dealership has a showroom. It has service provided. That's why I have 2 sets of comparables.
Okay, so again, just to clarify, those 5 big box power center nodes, that's where each of these comparables is located?
Correct, but my comparable 27 very close to the subject property, and we can see 24,000 square feet rent and $19 per square foot. And we assess subject property on 1300 region at $14.26. It's fair.
So 1610 Regent that you're referring to there, that is what tenancy?
It's retail fitness studio.
Would that be Good Life Fitness?
Yes.
Okay. So, and I don't want to run through each of these one by one, but as it's applicable to all properties, I'll do this relatively concisely here if I can. In looking at the tenancies, they're all typically national chain retailers. Is that correct?
Correct. It's a big box retail.
Okay, so the tenants would be national tenants such as Home Outfitters, Best Buy, Marshalls, Bed Bath & Beyond, Michaels, Ashley, MLCC, Sport Check, Old Navy, Staples, tenants of that variety?
This store interior finished, close to car dealership finish. And to provide, because subject property over 57,000 square feet, we have to look for big boxes with bigger square footage. That's why we present in this 28 comparable of big boxes to see how much this space rent for. And this space rent over $18 per square foot.
Okay, and flipping the page then to page number 4. And looking at the VSG vehicle service garage rent comparables, and I'll just point out a few of them here. Number 3, 3331 Portage Avenue. That is a strip center, is it not?
Yes, Portrait Avenue, like Regent Avenue, it's a commercial land facing very heavy traffic. So my comparable number 3 will be best example of typical space. But you can see this was rent negotiated 2020, around 3,000 square feet at $21 per square foot. And we assess Lestal around $14 per square foot. It's fair.
Okay, so that center has 4 units in it, does it not?
Subject property located on a region, and we can see 5 of property, like 5 file on the dockets, located same area. So it's a car dealership close to each other.
All right, in looking, I'm not gonna look specifically at that one comparable number 3, but the subject property service area, would you have a figure as to the size of that in comparison to your comparables?
Size of my service garage comparables, they smaller size. That's why to support, we have a good size, for example, comparable number 11, 8,000 square feet at $20 per square foot, lease negotiated ended 2019. Another good rent over close to 7,000 square feet, comparable number 10 at $13 per square foot. Would be more. We can see comparable number 12, King Edward. It's close to 18,000 square foot. It's negotiated 2019 and $10.15, but this rent should be upward adjustment for location because King Edward, it's industrial area compared to Portrait or Regent Avenue. So our assessment $14.26, it's fair.
So just again, to that point, and there's a number of things that came up there that I'd like to address, I guess, but the majority of your comparables fall between, let's say, 2,000 square feet and 5,000 or 6,000 on the upper side, most of them in that 1,400. So 1,400 up to, call it 4,000 square feet is where the bulk of them are. The subject property service area would be 35,000 square feet. Does that not indicate that there would be that most of these are not particularly applicable, or that there would be a very, very significant adjustment in the rental rate applied?
That's why we provide a big square footage for big boxes retail, and these big boxes retail, they have this floor base for customers. They have also storage area for new product delivered from the back doors. And this big store with biggest we have 47,000 over 47,000 square feet, comparable number 14, rent for $15 per square foot. It has sales space and storage space, and we assess for over $14 per square foot. It's fair.
So comparable number 12 that you had mentioned there, 1870 King Edward Street, that would be your largest comparable at 17,909 square feet, correct?
Correct. But these comparables located in industrial area for realty location, and location. These comparables rent should be upward adjustment for location.
So that particular tenancy, you're aware of what the entity is there? That's Boyd Auto Body, is it not? So very similar use to the service areas of auto dealers, is it not?
He has Fast Fleet Solution Limited. It's a car-related space. but it's located in industrial area, and we're looking for region, heavy traffic, commercial land.
So by industrial area, and we all know King Edward, of course, so this would be located at the very, essentially at the point of King Edward where it splits from, and I'm going to blank on the southbound partner roadway there at the moment, but it is in that flex warehouse space owned by a national REIT adjacent to the Polo Park area. Is that correct?
Yes, but Polo Park and this King Edward industrial area, it's we compare apple with orange.
Okay, so moving on.
But I have to mention all our 15 comparables. It's from a retail and a different neighborhood, because usually this type of car dealership, it's owner occupy space, and we have somehow to defend and produce our value. So it's best comparables existing right now for us.
Fair enough, and I do understand.
But each of them have to have adjustment.
So comparable number 6, 721 Watt Street, where so 1,400 square feet, $29.30 a square foot net rental rate. That is a small service garage at the rear of the site and a Domo gas station at the front of the site. Is that correct?
Not possible.
And 107 Vermilion Road and 20.
Excuse me.
Answer my question.
Ms. Shable, please let Mr. Smith ask the question. Thank you.
Mr.
Smith?
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So 107 Vermilion Road and 20 Lakewood Boulevard. These are located in the shopping center on Fermor Avenue that has tenants such as Canadian Tire, Co-op, Grocery, Manitoba Liquor Commission, Walmart, etc. Is that correct?
Yes, it's shopping mall. We can see rent provided, but subject property, it's like shopping mall, 5 property on the docket, located very close to each other. It's a car shopping mall.
And then 26, just a moment here. Make sure I have the right one. It's either 2645 or 2735 Pembina. I think it's 2645. That is, or was rather, a WRHA access office building and a small Midas shop. Is that correct?
Yes, and you can see lease for 3 years in 2021. This lease was expired, and this building, it looks like demolished, if I correct.
Okay, so that one's no longer in existence. It's now a development.
Yeah, but we're looking for a lease negotiated prior to reference date. So 3 years before reference day in 2019, this negotiation was for $12.25. But we have to keep in mind the 3 years upward adjustment for the time. So it will be, if this lease would be exist and negotiated prior to reference date, it will be higher today.
Okay, those are all of my questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Mr. Seelan, do you have any questions for the assessor?
Yes, I do. If we can look at page 3 with these rent comparables, can you tell us what comp 14 is and what comp 19 is?
14, I can see from what we see together, this lease, it's a building built in 2000, our subject property built in 2022, Lease negotiates in 2015. We need 6 years upward adjustment for the time. And we have around 48,000 square feet at $15 per square foot. It's some retail big shopping.
I'm sorry, could you
So-
repeat that? I couldn't hear that.
All my comparables on page number 3, it's retail shopping mall stores with big square footage.
Do we know what retail store this is, this big one?
I don't have in front of me.
Understood. So same with 19, you don't know what 19 would be as well?
Yes, I don't know because I don't have in front of me. I need to look in our data, but you can see 19. It's a building built in 2003. Lease negotiates in 2014 for around 37,000 square feet and $17.40. We have to 7 years upward adjustment for the time because our reference date 2021. And we assess property around $14 per square foot. It's fair.
Thank you very much. That's all my questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Seelan. Mr. Whitbread, do you have any questions for the assessor? You are on mute.
Thank you for alerting me. Yes, page 2. I'm looking at your photographs, Ms. Schabel. I'm a little bit confused now. I'm not sure I understand what the buildings are. Under questioning from Mr. Smith, you said the middle photo is no longer there. It is demolished and a new building has been put in place. Is that correct?
Correct. If you look on page number 2, second photo from the left, how it's a street view.
So what is the building above and below that, the big glass building? What is that?
It's another building under construction. Or a moment, I will look in my system because it was currently built, and I used Google Street View. Maybe it's this building under construction showed there. 1 second, I go to my property.
I can't zoom in, but it does look like a construction building. Like
It's under construction.
Is that the new dealership or is that a different part of Ford?
No, some new construction happened. Birchwood, my photo number 2, it's what exists right now, my street view showed. And from the left, is glass building. It's a new construction going on. It's what street view showed me.
But is it is the new showroom, is it?
Yeah, it's old photos. Google didn't update yet. Yes, you're right. This glass building, it's under construction in existing subject property.
And so is it fair now if I go to your photo on the right, where it shows the 2 buildings within the purple line, is the building on the right, is that the new building that's being put up?
Yes.
Okay, and so that would have a, sorry?
Yes, because it showed on my photo view screen.
Okay, and would that have a showroom and the service area, parts area, etc., etc.? Would that house the entire dealership?
So according to our system, yes, 2 buildings to go on same property somehow.
And yet you say the building on the left has been demolished. If I'm understanding you correctly.
I go to another property. So building, 600, occupancy, 2020.
There will be a point to my questions as I
Yes,
take this
thank
further.
you for this question. Because
Madam Chair, can Mr. Smith help us if that would be all right?
Yeah, if Mr. Smith has the answer.
Mr. Smith,
I do, yes. So
Please help.
there is only a single building on site. It's completely finished, having been constructed in 2022. In fact, we had 2022 supplemental realty as well as the 2023 realty under appeal. So when we look at the city's page 2 there, at the top photo on the left,
yeah,
the building on the left is the only one that remains. The building on the right has been demolished. And that building was finished in 2022 and has been operational since that time frame.
and is that the 50,000 square feet we're talking about? Is that relative to the building on the left, or is it relative to the old building on the right?
It's simply the new building of 57,000+ square feet.
Okay, that's why I was confused. I couldn't figure out how that number was arrived at, because I think the numbers in the financial statements are different. They reflect 32,425 or something. That would probably be the old building.
That's correct.
Okay, so my guess is this is now all parking where that old building was.
Mr. Whitbread, you're directing your
I'm
questions to
sorry.
Ms. Shable, correct? Yeah.
Well, we're asking Trevor for help because
If Ms. Shable can't answer, yeah.
okay. Ms. Shable, would you explain then? Is that
yes, construction was started before demolition occurred. Yes, right now it's parking
okay? So let's
around his glass building.
let's come to the real question I have. Can you tell us the split in the new building in the 50,000 square feet between the what you might call the big box retail area and the service areas? I call it the front and the back. Some people call it the clean and the dirty, but it's basically the separation between your retail and your VSG spaces. Do you know the split in square footage?
Right now we start to apply for car dealership, new or recently renovated, blended square footage. We didn't separate anymore.
That's not my question, Ms. Shable. My question is, do you know the square footage breakout between those two premises in this new building? It's a yes or no.
We don't apply this anymore.
Sorry, I didn't understand that.
We didn't split anymore for our new records. Every time showed blended square footage.
Okay, so you're saying no.
I don't know.
Thank you very much. My last question, is this a model defined rent then that took the combination of rent comparables and provided this $14.26 blended rate? Is that a model?
Yes, it's a model defined rent.
Thank
but
you.
Our model analyzed all rent existed through the city. I presented just a few of them.
That was my
model rent.
That was my add-on question: is these 28 examples and 15 examples are not the only examples that the model.
No.
Thank
No.
you for that, Madam Chair. I have no further questions.
It's a very complicated statistical analysis inside model.
Thank you.
Mr. Whitbread. Ms. Shable, have you inspected this property?
I have not inspected this property,
Okay.
but
Has it been inspected by an assessor?
yes, when construction, when we put on the roll, it was inspected.
Okay.
It's our typical procedure.
Okay, but you indicated to Mr. Whitbread that the square foot split between the service garage and the retail area, you're unaware of that?
No, because right now we we use PPD property development plan square footage, and most of the time they start to show it just blended square footage. And
So they just,
when you have a big blended square footage, usually model for big square footage generate much lower rent. So our blended rent over $14 per square foot, it's for huge big of property space. So it's fair by model.
okay. And, okay. So it makes it a little bit difficult then to look at your rent comparables. I'm looking specifically at the service garage page, but it could apply to the other. There's such a range in square feet that it's somewhat difficult then to compare rents that could be applied or used as comparables for the subject property. Would you agree with that?
Yes, but you can see comparable 10, 11, and 12 between 7,000 square feet and 18,000 square feet. And this comparable rent showed between $10 and $20 per square foot.
Right.
So it's range between $10 and $20 per square foot. And when we go into my comparables on page number 3, just specific for this location, 24,000 square feet rent at $18.93, $19 per square foot. So these big boxes help us to defend model driven.
Mm-hmm.
So it's between 10 and 20, and now we see $19 per square foot for 24,000 square feet. And we assess only less than $14, or over $40. So it's fair for this type of property with new building in.
Okay. All right. I have no additional questions. Mr. Smith, when you're ready, you may begin your presentation, please.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to answer the question that Mr. Seelan brought up regarding the tenancies for the city's Comp 14 and Comp 19. Just to begin with, the first one, 1450 Ellis, that's Giant Tiger. It's located just essentially to the north of Polo Park. And then 810 St. James Street, Comp 19, that's located on St. James Street, immediately adjacent to Polo Park. That is a Best Buy in that location, just so that you've got those answers. So moving ahead into our subject property and our task today of coming up with fair market rent and overall ARV for these properties. The city, as well as the owners and ourselves as their agents, do have, we face the same problem in coming up with fair market rents and fair market values for these properties, in that nearly exclusively, pretty much exclusively in the Winnipeg market, and indeed in other markets, auto dealers are owner occupied, in that there are no arm's length leases out there that we can rely upon as providing evidence of what a fair market rental rate would be for a full auto dealership. So we can't point directly to rents on exactly similar properties. So what we're left with doing is coming up with the most appropriate model for developing those fair market rents and fair market values. The city's modeling, as you'll have heard today and will have heard in past auto dealership hearings, is based upon a model that is driven by big box retail tenancies and rents, in that the argument is made that they are of similar structure, similar utility, therefore the rents that are being achieved for big box retail are used in the model and are applicable to automobile dealerships overall. There are a number of issues with this, and I'll just run through them quickly. Big box, or rather, auto dealers are special use properties, and there's actually some text with regard to this from an industry respected industry source in my document here. But auto dealerships are special use properties. They are not transferable to other uses. Essentially, they are purpose built and really are not useful for other purposes. When you look at the structure of a big box, or rather an auto dealership, you have two sections largely, as one of your panel members has referred to. You have the rear of the property, which is the dirty or the service area where vehicles are serviced, tires are changed, repairs are made, etc. That typically composes 60-ish% of the building. And it's essentially a concrete structure with a steel roof and floor drains, specialty service items for servicing vehicles, overhead doors on all sides, typically for entry and exit, oil storage, all of these things. That composes the larger portion of the building. Then you move to the front of the building, and that as you walk in the building, you have your showroom retail, which is where the vehicles are located for display, where you meet your salesperson and they take you around the cars, etc. That's also where the client lounge is. It's where the offices are for purchase of vehicles, for financing of vehicles, for administration, etc. And then in many instances, there's then a second floor mezzanine area of office, which is additional admin space to support the dealership. So when we contrast that to a big box store, as I'll do in my brief, when you look at a big box store, the structure of the big box store, typically you are looking at a very large selling floor. So call it in the range of 90% of the floor space is selling floor with some storage at the rear of the building, storage and shipping, receiving, essentially. That is your typical split that you're looking at. So if you were to look at simply from a structural point of view, the big box retail tenants would not in any way fit within. Oh, we lost them.
Oh no, it's just TV.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're back. Would not fit within the structure of the auto dealership. Now that's simply the structure that we're looking at. Beyond that, there's quite a number of other points. The big box retail locations that the city has provided as their comparables, the 28, I ran through them. As I noted, they are all located on power center big box nodes, that being your Polo Park, Lagimodiere and Regent, Garden City, Seasons of Tuxedo, IKEA, and Kenniston and McGillivray. That's where these are all located. So they're not adjacent to it, they are on the sites. Now, when these big box development, big box retail developments are constructed, they're built that way for a reason. The retailers and the developers aggregate themselves together to drive additional business for each of the tenants that are on that site. So you'll have your power center with however many various tenancies are on there, with some supportive restaurants, etc., things of that nature. But the the big box retailers drive more business by locating together in one giant node, so that the public can come and do all of their shopping in one location. They can visit 6 different stores and get the majority of their shopping that they wish to do done in one spot. This drives greater business for those retailers, and of course for the developer and owner of those sites, it drives the ability to charge more rent, as the retailers want to locate there so that they can drive more business, so they will pay more rent to locate in these locations. So that is a very specific driver of the rental rate for those big box tenancies. Third point to look at of discrepancy between big boxes and auto dealers is specifically that location. So as I mentioned, these are all on power center big box nodes, as I've described. And when you look at the auto dealerships in the city, and you go around to all of these power center and big box nodes, none of them will be located on those power center nodes, as that simply doesn't happen. At best, they are located in the vicinity or down the road, but not in any way connected, and indeed typically have a greater degree of separation than being simply adjacent. If we look at the Regent area and you look at where the power center and big box nodes and retail development is, it stretches on north and south side of Regent down to essentially where IKEA is, or rather, sorry, not IKEA, Costco. We only have the one IKEA. And then there's a set of train tracks, and you move beyond that, and there's various other things, and then the auto retailers are there on the south side and the north side, but they're not located where the Canadian Tires and the Best Buys, etc. are. They're quite removed from it. Fourth point, if you went, and I know this for a fact, having worked in the industry, if you approached any of these tenants and or their tenant reps, as that's really who does the deals, there would be zero interest in taking one of their tenants to a former auto dealership building in order to try and do a detail in a structure such as that, in a location such as that. It simply wouldn't happen. And as you look at these big box locations, indeed, it hasn't happened. They don't locate on retail. Retail does not locate where they are. So that essentially the crux of the city's argument, and those are the real issues that drive it. So the basis of the city's argument is necessarily driving an artificially high market rental rate for these properties based on these big box retailers. Moving on from that, just looking at all of our properties here today, I have indeed inspected all of these properties as well as the other ones that will be referred to in here. We have had 23 realty appeals on each of these properties. The decisions that came out from the Board of Revision are included in the addenda of each of the reports here today, and indeed they were based on the net rental rate that we supplied in our realty report for those appeals. Nothing has been changed, including our comparables. We're using the exact same evidence for these business hearings as we did in the realty hearings. So there has been no adjustment there. Additionally, I just had a second slate of auto dealership business hearings for the Point West Auto Park. All of those dealerships were decided by the Board of Revision based on the net rental rates that we supplied in our reports, which were $12 and $12.50 a square foot, as you will see in the orders that I've included in the addenda for you to review. So there's significant weight of evidence already with regard to these dealerships, as well as business hearings for auto dealerships as well. So let's, with no further background, I guess, let's get right into the report itself. So 1300 Regent Avenue West. As already mentioned, this is the new construction Birchwood Ford dealership on Regent Avenue. There is a single building on site. The former dealership was demolished and it's no longer there. So the 57,000 square feet that we're looking at is for the new building. Again, this has been heard at Realty and already decided. Looking at my page number 3, you have a bit of background here. So built in 2022, we have a land to plan area ratio of 5.22 to 1. Pardon me. This is significantly undersized for modern dealership requirements. Typically, dealerships are looking for an 8-to-1 ratio with regard to land to plan area. This is because they require room to store new automobile product on the site. They need room to store cars for servicing. They need circulation room. They need parking for clients as well as for staff on site. So 5.2 to 1 is very low, and it has necessitated the ownership acquiring additional land in the area on which to store cars because of the lack of land on this dealership, as well as a number of the other ones. We have the leasable area shown there for you. The main floor area in total is just under 41,000 square feet. And then there's a mezzanine area on the front portion of the building of 16,830 square feet. That's administration area and is included in the analysis. So we have a total of 57,743 square feet. I do not have a specific breakdown between, showroom retail front of house versus the service area at the back, but it would be in that 20,000, 22,000, 23,000 square foot area. So a very significant portion of the building is the service area at the rear of the property. Moving forward, we have photos beginning on page number 4. And you can see some of the exterior on page 4, front and side of the building, and then the back at the top of page 5. We move inside to the service area at the back at the bottom of page 5. As you can see, very straightforward. Then we move into there's a storage area for tires at the rear as well, as you can see. Then we move into more of the admin area, bottom of page 6. Customer lounge area at the top of page 7, some of the staff room area at the bottom of page 7, and then office and showroom area at the bottom of page 8. They actually had a Model T on site when I was there for inspection, which was kind of interesting. The site itself on Regent Avenue is shown on page number 9, outlined in red there, as you can see. And moving on, the location is shown on page number 10. So again, just drawing your attention to location versus big box nodes. So Regent and Lagimodier is located on the left-hand side of the map as shown there. Both sides of the road have significant retail development, Kildona Place on the north, Canadian Tire, etc. with the big box retail also on the south side of the road. And you then ends essentially at the train tracks. Much further east is where the subject property is located. So there is no influence from the big box retail with regard to accessibility, drivers of additional rental value. Moving on, giving you a description of the automotive industry on page 11. I won't cover this in detail. What I will point out is that the industry is in flux. What we're seeing nowadays is people doing their shopping essentially online. They will look at all the different brands, the different offerings that they have, select the cars that they're interested in, do more detailed review of them, and essentially pick their car out before they ever go to the dealership. What this leads to, and what the brands themselves have noticed, is less of a need for bricks and mortar. So they don't need as many dealerships out in the marketplace to sell their product. They just need a number of them that are more distribution centers per brand. So that obviously leads to lesser number of dealerships out in the market. We also have bigger players such as Amazon starting to come into the market, driving lower margins and putting pressure on the industry. As well, we saw kind of a steady state as far as vehicle sales prior to the pandemic. And then once the pandemic hit, obviously there was a very significant kink in business for these dealerships, as with all retail at that time. Sales declined significantly at that time. They did bounce back subsequently, but we're talking post-reference. And at that time, there was significant layoffs of staff in the automobile industry. All of this is indicated in the addendum materials that I include in my report, including description of the layoffs for this particular ownership group that were required in order to operate the business. So that's the general climate that the automotive dealers are operating in. Moving beyond that, I referred to this already briefly, and I'll cover it very quickly if I could. Looking at automobile dealerships as special use facilities on my page number 12. In the October 98 article in the Appraisal Journal, Peculiarities of Appraising Auto Dealership Facilities. Auto dealership facilities are considered special use or special purpose properties, which means that they cannot typically be assigned other uses. And then there's a very similar quote immediately following that from that particular article. What this means is that they do not lend themselves in any way to alternative uses such as big box retailers. There's typically a life cycle stage for auto dealerships, that being number one, your branded auto dealership. So your Hondas, your Fords, your Mazdas, etc. as a first run auto dealership. When they become obsolete for that purpose, they typically evolve down the scale to a secondary use as a used auto dealership, which you will see in the marketplace around town. And when they become obsolete for that particular purpose as well, typically they end up as development sites where the structure really has no purpose at that point and is demolished for development into another use for that particular land area. I've given you 6 different examples of this. The 6 of them are shown here. And I'll leave that for you to review. You can certainly ask me questions on that if you wish, but we should move forward in our brief here in order to keep track of our time. looking at, again, the city's big box comparison versus a dealership. What I've given you on page number 13 is both a frontal picture and an aerial of one of the city's comps, that being the Best Buy location, and or the Michaels, for that matter. If you wish to look at the Michaels, I think they're both there. If you look at either of those locations and you go in, you'll see that nearly the entire floor space, the vast majority of it is selling space. Indeed, with some racking in many circumstances where the product is not stored in the rear, but is actually out on the selling floor itself to have maximized their use of the selling floor. And then you have a very small storage and warehouse area with shipping receiving at the rear, which you can see in that photo there. So all that being said, that leaves us with the task of coming up with an appropriate model for determining fair net rental rate for these facilities on the marketplace. So as I've described the properties, we essentially have two components of them. We have the rear automotive service area, the dirty section as referred to, and then we have the front showroom retail office area as shown in the photos. Now, I will point out one particular comparable. I'm not sure if I included it in my brief or not. I don't know that I made that change. It wasn't in my original detail, but when we look at the city's vehicle service comparables, they're comp number 12, as already mentioned, 1870 King Edward Street. So this is it's on Route 90, just north of Portage Avenue, essentially a block or two over from Polo Park, in a nationally owned flex warehouse space. We have Boyd Auto Body. Now, they've been located there for quite some time, so if it wasn't a good location, they would have moved by now. That is probably the best comparable in terms of rental rate on the market for this type of usage. It's just under 18,000 square feet. Subject property, or somewhat larger than that, in the 20,000 plus square feet, but it's by far the closest in terms of size. Struck in 2019 for a 5-year term at a rate of $10.15 a square foot. Now, the use that they have there of Boyd Auto Body is very similar, while not identical, to Service Garage. The utility and the build out of it is essentially the same. So that is an excellent comp. Just want to point that out. Skipping back to my brief and my Service Garage comparables. Again, we have to develop a model that makes the most sense. So we rely on automotive comparables for the rear of the property, and then showroom retail for the front of the property. Running through the automotive comparables, as mentioned, the difficulty is in finding any of significant size that would be comparable. We've done our best in finding the largest ones on the market that are done as close to the valuation date as possible as well. I will point you to a number of them here, if I could. We have number 9, 231 Oak Point Highway. This would be an inferior location to the subject property, certainly, as it's located on Oak Point on Route 90 as it heads a little bit, having gone under the train tracks. It's just there. It's where the majority of the trucking industry is located now. This is a former first run Harley Davidson dealership. 14,547 square feet, so quite significant in size, built in 1990, so relatively new. 5-year lease starting in 2017 at $7 per square foot, and that is as a used auto dealer. Now, that again, different type of structure marginally, as it is showroom retail on the front, and the location would be inferior, but you're looking at a very good comp in terms of size, in terms of use, and the building in comparison to these subject properties today. Beyond that, looking at 960 Pembina, this is well located at the corner of this is comp number 10, located at the corner of Pembina Highway and the underpass. Essentially, we have a 2018 lease there for a service garage with excellent visibility at $12.75 a square foot. So towards the upper end of our rental rate comparable. As you can see, that comp is 5,700 square feet, so significantly smaller than the subject property, which would of course drive a higher rental rate as well. We also have a used auto dealer at 3680 Pembina, 2017 lease at $12.50 a square foot for a 1988 structure. The remainder of the properties are typically smaller service garages that are, you know, your branded ones such as Fountain Tire, others of that nature, or locally owned ones that are well located on, for the most part, main thoroughfares. I would point to 2479 Pembina, number 3, at a rate of $10.71 per square foot. Southside Auto, that's located right at the juncture of Pembina Highway and Bison Drive. We have a Fountain Tire location, and I think this one does provide perspective. So if you look at comp number 5, 123 Fort, just under 9,000 square feet, so significant size service garage. This is a Fountain Tire operation. It is located right in the heart of downtown, just north of Broadway and to the west of Main Street. We have a 2018 lease there for 10 years at a rate of $13 per square foot. Is the building older? Yes, it is, but they're not going to tear it down there and put up another service garage. Obviously, it's been changed since 1947 and is essentially the top of the market for what one would achieve given its location in downtown. Final comp that I will point you to is my number 20, 1322 Waverly. This is located right on the southeast corner of McGillivray and Waverly. It's not Auto Group. They are a premium used auto dealer. Building is just 27,603 square feet. Originally built in 72, but obviously renovated since that time. We have a 2018 lease there for 5 years at a rate of $6.85 a square foot. Certainly a very prime location. This particular deal is complicated in that the tenant was required to do the improvements to the property themselves. So when you look at the showroom retail photo that I have there at the bottom, they have done those renovations as well as any other renovations to the interior of the building. So that would drive the rent up from the $6.85, but given the location of that property, it does provide you with a frame of reference for a use of this type in a very strong location. Happy to answer questions on any of the rest of them. When we look at the range, we're typically looking at from $9, call it, some of them slightly lower than that at $7.58, up to that $11 per square foot range, with some of them being slightly higher than that. Moving on to showroom retail on page number 16. So now we're looking at the front of the building, the front of house. And our purpose here again is to provide the best comparables. So what we looked for is showroom retail type of tenancies located in very strong retail locations with good exposure, with relatively recent rents, and new construction where possible. So I'll run through these as well. Each of these is shown on the following pages with a photo and a map. I will highlight a number of them for you here to best illustrate our analysis. So there are a number of these properties that are located on Lorimer. As you look, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, and 15 are all on Lorimer. This property is a flex space. It's largely occupied by office tenancies and retail tenancies, or retail tenancies and office tenancies for that matter. Built between 2011 and 2019, and it's in a very strong location just to the east of Kenaston Boulevard, so not where IKEA and Seasons are, but within a very short range of that, off to the east of Kenaston. The tenants and or rather the sizes that we're looking at there are 12,500 square feet, 3,000 square feet, 9,300 square feet, 15,800 square feet, etc. In terms of the size, 12,200 square feet. So significant size retailers. The uses there, we have a climbing gym, a spin studio, a hockey store, a home improvement tile store, a luxury bathroom store, and a shoe retailer in that particular location. The rents that we're seeing for those are range from a high of $14.25, including free rent, $12.45, $13.50, $12.25, $12.50, and $12 per square foot. And these rents are long-term deals, typically struck from 2016, 2018, in one case 2020, for those particular tenancies. So certainly a strong comparable. I will point you now to 1290 Kenaston, that being comps number 11 and 12. This is a former industrial building located right on the corner of Kenaston, and it was purchased with the intent to redevelop it into a retail center, which has subsequently been done. Property was redeveloped in 2015, and they put tenants in 2016. One of those tenants, 15,000+ square feet, is TransCanada Brewing. They have a very large tasting room / restaurant, as well as their production facility there. And they struck a lease for $12 per square foot in 2016 for a 10-year term. Immediately beside them, we have Lux Barbecue for 9,665 square feet. Again, 10-year lease in 2016 for $12.50 a square foot. Now, the importance of these is a couple of fold. It's in, again, close proximity, but not on the site of the retail power center to the south of this at Kenaston and McGilvery. It's close, but it's not there. What it is close to is 3 brand new automobile dealerships, 2 of them owned and developed by the Birchwood Group. which are located immediately adjacent to this, to the north of the property. And to the south of the property, you have the Mercedes-Benz dealership on the opposite side of the cross street there. So those comps are at $12 and $12.50 a square foot. Across the road, we have Nature Park Way, again, flex warehouse space with excellent visibility. And we have a tenant there occupying similar type of space, 15,822 square feet for a lease starting in 2017 at $11.95 a square foot. So kind of right in the heart of one of the major areas that's drawing new development and new investment in the area. One of the strongest areas for this type of property in the city. So again, the photos and the maps are there for you to review. The range that we're looking at typically runs from a low of $10 per square foot, which I wouldn't put a lot of weight on, that being the low end, but typically we're looking at $12, $12.50, $13, up to $14.25 a square foot for properties of similar utility, similar structure somewhat, and very similar strong locations, typically of newer built properties. So all that being said, we need to summarize this into a fair representation of market rent. If we look at my page 22, you can see that the automotive net rental rate range runs from $6.50 to a high of $13. And we have the flex warehouse showroom retail with a range of a low of $6 again, which I wouldn't put a lot of weight on, up to $14.25 per square foot. So again, we're balancing off the two portions of the building. It's not that I've assigned a rental rate of X amount to the service garage and X amount to the showroom retail. It's that we're looking at the subject as a whole with those two components and applying an overall rental rate. So we've applied a rental rate of $13 per square foot to the subject property in this instance as a new build property. We believe that is a fair reflection of its ability to draw a rental rate on the market. Keep in mind, we have 57,000+ square feet here. So that gives us our potential annual income on page 22. To that, we add the expenses, which we're not in dispute of, on page 23. And this gives us our final ARV on page 24 of $884,520. The addendum materials again include the 2023 realty decision from the subject property based on the applicant's net operating income. Then I provide you with our workup, giving you the net operating income, which was based on $13 per square foot. Following that, I've supplied the business decisions from the Point West Auto Park, which we just concluded, which were all decided at between $12 and $12.50 as based on my presentation. And then the articles with regard to both the impact of COVID as well as the future of automobile dealerships in North America. So that is my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Ms. Shable, do you have any questions for Mr. Smith?
Yes, please. You would agree that subject property, car dealership located close proximity, another for car ship on docket today? Yes, no?
I would agree that it's located in close proximity to the other dealerships, or some of them, yes.
So we have a car dealership, a shopping mall created in same area, correct?
No, it's not a mall. They're arranged along, Regent Avenue. It has a long history of automotive dealerships in that location, but it's certainly not an automotive mall.
But it's a very good location for car dealership. They built new building in 2021 in demolished old, correct?
Yes, so two points there. Yes, it's a decent location. They want to be located in each section of the city. Point two, they already owned the land, and Ford required them to erect a new dealership, or else they would lose their representation of Ford. So they obviously constructed the new building, and they did so on land they already owned.
So it's located on region, heavy traffic, commercial C3 zoning, correct?
It is, yes.
You would agree that rent on commercial property will be much higher than on industrial properties area?
I mean, it varies, but as a general rule, yes, but it's not a blanket statement. It depends on what we're looking at. But I'm not actually referring to industrial in any of this.
So we can see we have commercial market and industrial market separated by all outside sources in it, correct?
It's quite possible, but again, I'm not referring to industrial in my report at all.
Okay, let's open page 14 of your brief with your automotive comparables. Everyone there?
Go ahead, Ms. Shable.
So let's look one by one. By the way, I submitted rebuttal. I checked each of them, and my rebuttal I will do by the end, but now we will check one by one. Your comparables on 1214 fifth, it's in store warehouse located industrial area, correct?
The property is a warehouse located in the Inkster Industrial Park, and the usage is automotive as shown there. I already stated I didn't place a lot of weight on that particular comp, I believe.
So it's inferior location, all building 1965, plus rent negotiated in 2016. All these components will be give significant upward adjustment for rent, correct? To compare it to the subject property rent.
This would certainly be on the low end, yes, I don't disagree, as I've already stated.
Comparable number 2, 1283 Boyd. It's same situation, very old building located in storage warehouse, industrial area, will be upward adjustment significant, correct?
I would somewhat disagree with that. Yes, it's an older building. It's a newer lease, not in a poor location, and we're looking at 2,500 square feet versus 20,000 plus square feet. So there are other factors other than simply the age that need to be examined there.
And this rent started 2018 for 3 years. By reference years 2021, it will be new negotiation or step up lease. It will be much higher, correct?
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to ask you to repeat that.
We have a lease started 2018 for 3 years. So new lease will be started 2021. They have to negotiate new lease or step up lease. It will be much higher to existing in your brief, correct?
Well, that would depend upon the circumstances, but yes, at the end of the term, they would negotiate a lease, but we don't obviously have that information, or it would be post-reference.
So you heavily rely on comparable number 3, 2479 Pembina. So we have, yes, it's a commercial land, but building very old, so occupied space old, it will be upward adjustment for the space. We have lease negotiated 2017, correct? It will be a time adjustment up, yes, no?
Well, again, there's more factors that come into play than simply the age of a structure. So as I pointed out, this particular property is located at the corner of Bison Drive and Pembina Highway. You don't get much better locations than that. It's 5,600 square feet in size. And we have a lease from 2017 for a total of 6 years at $10.71 a square foot. So there are differences, quite obviously, and I stated the challenges in finding leases of a similar size to the service areas of these properties. This being 5,600 square feet would draw significantly higher rent on a per square foot basis than you would for a property in the 22, 23, 24,000 square foot size, whatever the breakdown of the subject would ultimately be. So would 1071 be off? No, I would disagree with that.
To the record, it is rent $11.54. Evidence submitted in my rebuttal. You can cross $10.71 and put $11.54. And okay, let's go next. Comparable number 4, 31 Scarfield. It's located industrial area. It has storage warehouse and flexible warehouse, correct?
It is a small industrial building located in the Fort Garry industrial area, built in '98 with one tenant of 4,800 plus square feet that is a service garage.
This property lease was negotiated in 2014 and old building 1998. Industrial area should be a significant upward adjustment, correct? To compare it to subject property rent. So
I would, again, strongly disagree with 1998 being considered an older building. That's certainly not the case in our market. Yes, it's older in 2014, so if they renewed at the end of their 10-year term, would their lease be higher? Quite probably, yes, I would suspect it would be, but we're starting at $8 a square foot. Again, these are the low end of the range here that we're looking at.
For the record, is comparable 31 Scarfield, rent for $11 per square foot. You can cross existing. It's presented in my rebuttal.
Ms. Shable, do you have rebuttal evidence?
Yes, I submitted.
Okay,
So
we haven't seen
do-
your rebuttal evidence, so why don't we just stick
Mhm.
to this and then you can introduce your rebuttal following.
But I'm under oath and I do statement like go by go, and it's supported in my rebuttal because I
Okay.
don't come back.
And that's fine. That's fine. We can get to the rebuttal. In the meantime, just stick with what is in Mr. Smith's presentation for now.
Yes.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
may I ask for a very brief recess for a discussion amongst panel members, please? 10:30,
right.
10:35, and maybe even a 10-minute break to get coffee and refresh here.
Okay.
I'd like to interrupt this for a moment.
Thank you.
All
We
right.
need break.
Okay, let's do that then. We'll find a 10-minute break. We'll resume at 10:40. Thank you. I'd like to call the meeting back to order. Before we begin, I'm advised that we have a hard stop at 1 o'clock this afternoon. So we need to get through our 9 docket items by 1 o'clock. Ms. Shable, you were taking us through your questions on Mr. Smith's comparables on page 14. I'm wondering, is there a way for you to shorten the questions or ask a general question? I appreciate you want to go through them and point to us the age and the term and the size of the property. I appreciate all that, but we do have the evidence in front of us. If you could just tighten up your questions a little bit, that would help us get through all the evidence and give it a fair look. I know you also have rebuttal on top of this. So, okay, having said that, Ms. Shable, you may continue. You are on mute.
We're still on page number 14 of agent brief. We look on comparable number 5, 123 Ford. It's located in downtown, correct?
Correct.
And downtown market behave different than suburban market, correct?
Correct.
For the record, this gross lease, it will be supported in my rebuttal. We can go through my rebuttal, or to save time, I just give for record what I discovered. Its gross lease at $31.65. Comparable number 6, never submit income expenses for us. I could not verify these comparables. Comparable number 7, 747 Osborne. It's very small properties, very old, correct?
No dispute there.
I'm mute.
No,
We
I
can
say
hear you.
I'm not disputing that.
Comparable number 8, St. Anne. My evidence show, just for records, that its land lease is transferred to improvements. Lease, it will be $14.43. How you can explain it?
Well, I'm afraid you're referring to information that I don't have in front of me, so I can't really answer your question.
Can you move along, Ms. Shable? Thank you. He can't
Yes,
explain it.
comparable number 9, it's Oak Point. It's located industrial area, correct?
I've already described where Oak Point is located for the panel members. Yeah, they're well aware of it.
Industrial area, commercial areas have to significant upward adjustment, correct?
Well, Ms. Shable, there's all sorts of reasons for both upwards and downwards adjustments. I'm not going to go through each and every one and which particular components will drive it in each way. Stated there is that we have a relatively new or newer, obviously not new, structure that was designed as a motorcycle dealership, so very close type of use and structure in comparison to the subject property. So that is why it's presented.
So comparable number 10, yes, it's $12.75. No questions here. Comparable number 13, Nair Avenue. It's old building, correct?
Which one are we looking at?
13 and 14. It's on Nair Avenue.
So comparable 13, 750 Nair, yes.
Yes, I will please apply same carryover questions, but for statement it's rent for $11.79. And comparable number 14, old building, small area, very old lease, 2013. For the record, rent for $10.31.
So if I may interject at this point, as these are supposed to be questions, I will just provide an overall statement here. It's entirely possible that for rents here that I've provided with the if the rent that we had expired before the valuation date, they may have signed a new lease or renewed or what have you. At that point, if we had that information, I would provide it. If I don't have it, I cannot provide it. So it is entirely possible that there may be some changes to these. It's not information that's being hidden or misrepresented. These are the leases as struck as of the dates that are shown on our chart here. So happy to receive any new information. I don't know that it would materially impact the valuation that I would put on the property.
Thank you for clarifying that, Mr. Smith. Ms. Shable, he's answered a lot of your questions. Are there specifics then about the remainder of the properties, or can we move on?
Yes, comparable number 15, Dugald. Dugald, would you agree that it's inferior location, old building and old leases need adjustment for location, time, and age of building, correct?
So as I'd stated, yeah, there's a variety of locations. Yes, this particular location would be inferior. Building is older. The date is older. And yes, there would be an upward adjustment. As I said, there is a range, and we're obviously not at the $8 per square foot range for our property.
Your comparable number 16140 Varman, it's should upward adjustment for age of building, rent, location, correct? It's inferior location to the subject property.
So the 140 Warman is a, and I'm blanking right now on the particular tire provider that it is. It's one of the major brands, and it is located on Lajimoje, essentially. Warman is the cross street where it's located, and that is located just south of the train overpass to the Regent and Lajimoje intersection. That's where that particular property is.
For the record, it's rent for $11.50.
Madam Chair.
Yes, yes, Mr. Whitbread.
Ms. Shable seems to be giving evidence. Is she not? I'm looking for questions, not evidence at this point.
Yes.
Ms.
Shable, I did ask you to please keep your questions to the information that's presented, please.
At this point, I really try to save time for us because all my rebuttal short statement, what I give right now, you can we can look after or you can trust because I am under oath.
Okay, thank you.
So we can just flip my rebuttal, but statement already in front.
Okay.
Comparable by comparables.
But ask a question,
time on
please.
it. Yes.
Please ask a question and please make it brief. We do have to get through our docket today.
Your comparable number 17 or Oak Point need upward adjustment for industrial location, age, and lease started, correct?
It is located on Oak Point Highway, 8,800 square feet, 2014 lease at $11.18 a square foot. We don't have subsequent information for the property. Is it in a bit of an industrial section there? Yes, it's targeted to the trucking industry in that location, and this is a trucking repair, automotive repair, but trucking repair location, and the rent is indicative of that at $11.18 back in 2014. So it's certainly a strong rent.
Comparable number 181123 Notre Dame. Its lease size 2014, expired 2019, correct?
That's all in front of us, yes.
For the record, it's owner occupied building.
As of 20
comparables number 19,
If I
25.
may answer the question. As of 2014, when this was struck, the information was such that it was arm's length at that time. That's why it's included. I will review that to make sure that that was the case. And if we have any additional new information, I'll review that as well.
Ms. Shable,
Yes, I'm here. And comparable number 19 on Portridge Avenue, it's old building, old list, correct, should be upward adjustment.
Well, let's delve into this one a little bit deeper. This is a automobile dealership, actually, at the corner of is it Moray? That is the bridge over the Assiniboine to Portage Avenue there. So it's on the southeast corner of Portage and Moray. There was for a long time there was a Mercedes dealership that was in place there. This is a short-term rental to Birchwood Credit, which is their used auto dealer, beginning in 2015 at a rate of $7.50 a square foot. It was obviously renovated since 1963, and the location was very prime, although the access to the site was somewhat convoluted and poor. That is the property that we're talking about.
For the record, a report showed it's land lease. Last comparables 1322 Waverley. This old building lease should be upward adjustment for location, age of building and lease, correct?
I've already talked about that one extensively.
Okay, for the record, rent $12.95 in my rebuttal provided, but I am off. Let's go to page 16, showroom retails.
okay, before you start, Ms. Shable, there are 17 of these properties. Is there a way you could summarize your questions or group them together so we're not going through one by one? We see that some of them are old. We see that some of them are small or they have old lease start dates. We can see that. So perhaps you can just focus on the particular issues that you have with them and not go through every single one.
I cannot do it. I will be go one by one because
Okay, then
it's
please be direct with your questions and brief. Thank you.
correct. And comparable number 1 on showroom retail, 1875 Pembina.
Do you have a question?
Everyone with me?
Yes, we're waiting for you.
Okay. These comparables should be upward adjustment for the age of building, lease start date and location, correct?
So 1875 Pembina, this is Stone Angel Brewing and just under 9,000 square feet. They have a extensive tasting room / restaurant, as well as their production facility at the rear of that particular unit. It's in a strip mall. It's located just north of Bishop Grandin on the west side. Lease started in 2017. Yes, I would probably adjust that one upwards for various reasons. What we're doing here is stating the actual terms of the lease as of the time that they were struck. And will there be adjustments? Yes. And that, of course, is how we arrive at our overall net rental rate of $13 per square foot. This is all done. We haven't simply put the information down and not reviewed it and made the appropriate judgments with regard to the overall net rental rate.
So in this location, in these comparables, we have production area and restaurant in front, correct?
Well, the restaurant's kind of on beside it, but yes, that is the location, yes.
So it cannot represent showroom of subject property, space in front.
I'm sorry, I missed that question.
So in this location, production happened. So it's not a finish. It's not a interior finish like a showroom and car dealership. Correct?
No, the one section is finished in terms of the build out. Yes.
What percentage of area finished?
Well, Ms. Scheibel, as I was not involved in the particular deal, and as I not break out my ruler when I've been in that space, I'm unaware of the actual breakdown between production and showroom retail.
So for the record, this area lease for $11.15. Comparable 2, 3, 4,
So,
and 5.
If I may interject, Madam Chair, just for a minute, what we're getting here, and I understand the challenges, and I want to be very cognizant of our time limitations as well. We're getting statements of new evidence, which is the rebuttal evidence, which I have not seen yet. So it's simply being stated as that. I haven't seen it. I can't challenge it. I can't review it. I won't even have seen it until later. So if we could stick to what's on the page and look at rebuttal after, that would probably be best.
Yes, that's what we'll do. Ms. Scheibel, please, again, just ask your questions of the information presented. Don't give us new information. We'll get to your rebuttal once we're done.
Thank you. Comparable 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and same properties. And you can see in 2020, it's rent for $14.25, correct?
Number 2, rented for $14.25. That rate included an extensive amount of free rent as well. Obviously, within the COVID timeframe, there were adjustments that needed to be made in order to draw tenants into vacant space. So the $14.25 is not really the net to the ownership.
Your comparables, same comparables, comparable 2 and comparable 5, it represent good time adjustment because in 2012 it was rent for $12.25, in 2020 similar space for $14.25, correct?
It's quite possible that they would have a different rental rate upon renewal. Yes.
I spent more time on this comparable with its new building, very well represent subject property. It's built and finished 2019. Comparable number 6 and 7, same properties, and rent for $13.75. It should be upward adjustment for the time, correct?
I would disagree, as we're not simply again looking at the time. What we're looking at there is a property that's in close proximity. It's on the west side of Keniston. We have 2 very different sizes there, 18,000 and 3,000 square feet, which you can see the build out is different between the 2. It's flex warehouse space is what it is, which typically in this location becomes either full-blown office tenancies or showroom retail with some storage in the rear, etc. I don't believe they were achieving anything significantly different in the COVID timeframe as of April 1, 2021. Everybody had very drastic challenges in both renewing and leasing vacant space. So I wouldn't necessarily agree with your comment.
Comparable number 8, 9, and 16, 400 Fort White Way. It's located in Oak Bluff, Manitoba, correct?
So no, it's a bit of an overstatement. Oak Bluff town itself is located to the west of the Perimeter Highway. This is located in the same RM as Oak Bluff, but it is located simply down the road from where the Costco is located on McGilvery. If you head out that way, you can see the continuous development that's happening there. This was again large flex warehouse development built in that location. It's not my strongest comp, but it is similar type of use and location, although somewhat removed.
I cannot verify this property because it's not a City of Winnipeg portfolio. Comparable number 10, 996 Lorimer. It's this rent should be upward adjustment for lease, correct?
Well, the lease was struck in 2016, over 10 years. It's a luxury bathroom tenancy built in 2008. I have no updated information. It's possible it might be somewhat higher than that if renewed at that time frame. But again, we're also dealing with the COVID time frame, so I can't categorically state that they would get more than $1,250 as of April 1, 2021.
For the statement, average rent in this building, it's much bigger square footage, $17.55.
Sorry, so that
Is
would
that-
be
I'm sorry,
not
Ms.
evidence
Shable?
that's- Sorry.
Ms. Shable, please don't introduce new evidence.
It's rebuttal.
Yeah,
Comparable
but
11,
we'll deal
12.
with your rebuttal, excuse me, we'll deal with your rebuttal when we're done the direct brief. Thank you.
Comparable 11, 12, 12, 19 Cannon Stand. It's a new building, it's okay. A lease start 2016 should be upward adjustment for the rent, correct?
Yeah, and I would disagree with that. It was fully renovated in 2015 to be retail. Lease was struck then for a period of 10 years. So that is what they're achieving unless there's step ups within the 10-year time frame. So if there's step ups, then yes. If not, then they're getting that rate over 10 years.
Your comparable number 11 Canada Crow Brewing for 15,000 square feet. Is production going there?
So I didn't deal, in the interests of time, I didn't deal with each of my comparables. 1036 Waverly is not my strongest comp. We have two tenancies there. We have Superlight Lighting, which has a very large component of it being the showroom retail at the front. And then we have the floor show, both of these being showroom retail. There is some production, yes, in the Superlight location. And the lease is a bit older in 2014, over an 8-year time frame. It's not certainly as well located as some of the others, and the leases are a bit older, and that's indicated in the rental rate that they got, which is very much at the bottom end of the range. So I would agree that there would be a significant upward adjustment from $6.
Your comparable 13 and 14, 1033 Waverly. This property very old leases and locations on industrial should be upward adjustment for the rent, correct?
I'm sorry, I thought that was the one we were just talking about. Were we talking about 1290 Keniston previously?
Correct.
Okay, so moving back to 1290 Keniston, then Trans-Canada Brewing is, they have both their brewing facility there as well as a tasting room restaurant in the property. And Lux Barbecue is simply showroom space. They don't produce any of that on site, obviously. So that would be the answer there. And those leases would carry forward on the 12 and 1250 for the 10-year time frame unless there were step ups. 1036 Waverly is the one that I had been talking about previously, not my strongest comp, and it is in a more industrial area that has elements of showroom retail. There's a very large industrial building that's been converted over to retail adjacent to this. Essentially, these have showroom retail at the front, the floor show being entirely retail, Superlight being a bit of a mix. And the leases are older and they're at the bottom end of the range at $6. So certainly they would be adjusted upwards in our analysis.
Your last comparable 17, It's a flex showroom and warehouse, correct?
Yes,
So it cannot represent clean showroom for car dealership, or if it will be clean showroom without warehouse, this rent will be much higher, correct?
I had trouble following that question, but it is a flex warehouse development built by one of the premier industrial developers in the city of Winnipeg for the last, call it 30 years. Very large development on the west side of Kenaston, adjacent to the 1290 Kenaston comps that we have here at 12 and 1250. The tenancies in these units range from being used purely as office to some showroom / warehouse to some more warehouse based tenancies, depending on location, etc. This one is showroom warehouse with some warehouse obviously at the back. Significant size, just under 16,000 square feet. And a rent of almost $12 a square foot in premier location in the city, certainly.
So from your 17 comparables, your comparable number 1 best represent showroom of subject property, correct?
My comparable one, what?
Comparable number 2, it's lease started 2020 prior to reference date, building built in 2019. So it's best represent your showroom for subject property, correct?
It is one of the comparables that we should look at. It's not, you don't, as you'll be aware, we don't select a single comparable and place all of our reliance upon that in providing evidence. So it's merely one of the properties that we would look at. And again, as discussed, 1425 is not the actual net to the tenant, or rather to the owner there, given the amount of free rent that they needed to provide in order to draw that tenant in the COVID timeframe. So it would be somewhat less than 1425.
I would like to paraphrase my question. This comparable need less upward adjustment percentage-wise to the subject property to compare apple to apple, correct?
What I would say, Ms. Scheibel, is that it's closer in terms of the start date of the term than some of the other comparables, or as you've stated.
No further questions.
Thank you, Ms. Scheibel. Mr. Whitbread, do you have any questions for the applicant? Oh, you're on mute, Mr. Whitbread.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
what weight would you put on age of a building in determining the rent when you're looking at comparables?
Well, that it varies certainly, and it's only one of the components of determining what an appropriate rent would be. So I'll try and find a good example of that. I know if we skip back to say my vehicle service garages. So a lot was made out of my comp number 5, 123 Fort, that being Fountain Tire, located in the heart of downtown, 9,000 square feet, built in 1947. So is 1947 a good age for a building? No, certainly it's older. Now, there have been changes to that building, but what you can't replace, as Fountain Tire is well aware why they're still there, is the location of that property in the heart of downtown. So they're willing to pay a premium rent of $13 per square foot to occupy this older building because it's right in downtown. Now, as a general rule, will all other things being equal, which they never are, but all other things being equal, will a newer building typically rent for more than an older building? Certainly there can be the expectation that there will be a slightly stronger rent for a newer property than an older property, but in many instances, the location trumps the age of the building, or the age of the building is not really representative of the condition of the building, where you've had properties that have been fully renovated and brought up to date with systems and interiors, exteriors, etc. So what I find is that the city places a very great reliance on the original age of construction in their determination, but they somewhat downplay the importance of location and all the other factors that would drive rent as well.
Okay, and that's I think what I was getting at was age is just one component. Functionality of the building, which could be a function of upgrades, etc. Location is important. You pull them all together to get your fair estimation of rent then. Am I correct in understanding that?
That's correct.
Thank you very much. I'm not going to ask any further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Whitbread. Mr. Seelan, do you have any questions?
Yes, I have a few questions. First question is on page 5 of the pictures. It shows that the service area has a tile floor. Is that quite typical for newer service garages and service that's done in dealerships? It was referred to as the dirty area. Is it quite typical that they have tile floors in the service area?
It varies, Mr. Seelan. You do see it in some of the new ones. We have four properties here today that are new dealerships. So we'll see in the photos of those what the floors look like. This particular one, they do have tile flooring. The dirty comment, so I guess adding on to what had been the description that had been provided. It's not one that I usually use, but it is somewhat apt in that the rear of the building is the service garage. So you have the oil changes, tire changes and repairs, etc., which is very different than the use in the front. And the general structure of those spaces is quite a bit different too. So the tile is, it's there. I don't quite know what to say about it.
Understood. Thank you. If we turn to your automotive comparables here, to the best of your knowledge, and I'm just reconfirming here, are these all leased locations, or are these older occupied locations mixed in with leased?
No, these are absolutely all leased spaces. Owner occupied spaces have no arm's length leases, so none of that information is considered valid, and I wouldn't include it in my evidence.
With respect to the showroom retail comparables, is that the same here as well?
It is, yes.
Thank you. That's all my questions, Madam Chair. Thank you so much. Appreciate the information.
Thank you very much. I have no additional questions. First, I'll ask Mr. Smith, do you have rebuttal evidence?
I do not.
Okay, Ms. Schabel, I understand you have rebuttal evidence. So you need to give us a minute while Mr. Kumar distributes it to the applicant and us.
Yes, it's in the share folder, Madam Chair, and I gave a copy to the applicant.
Okay, thank you. We'll open it now. Ms. Schabel, there's 20 pages of rebuttal evidence. Okay, go ahead, Ms. Schabel.
Apologize, Madam Chair. I'm just looking. I don't see it here.
The very bottom. The very
What is?
bottom.
Okay, thank you so much. I see rebuttal AT&T.pdf. Is that the correct document?
That's it.
Yes.
Yes, thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Okay, Ms. Schabel, if you can take us through this quickly.
Page number 1, we can see I just screenshot of agent evidence. And on the right side, it's what I discovered, 80 rent per square footage. It's supported further information. We can see number of comparables, 20 comparables of automotive comparables. We can see roll number, full address, and parcel use. ENV WWH, it's industrial properties. CMVSR at service garages. It's comparable number 3, 5, 7, 8, 10, 13, 14, and 19. We can see a location, that neighborhood location, property class SWH, it's storage warehouse. VSG, it's vehicle service garage. FVWS, it's a flex warehouse. RET, it's retail. And rest stuff. Okay. We can see a floor area, whole building, whole properties. We can see land ratio, building to land to building. We can see lot size, and last it's actual building started or actual build. So when I did statement about leases compared to agent, all these leases posted here and will be further supported from information provided to us from the owner for 2020 years, full years. On page number 2, it's a showroom retail agent comparables on our left side. On right side, it's my search. First columns, it's verified rent comparable for these properties. We have 17 comparables. Another column, roll ID number, full address, parcel use. SMSN, it's all showed shopping malls. ENWH, it's industrial properties. We have neighborhood numbers, property class NSC, it's a neighborhood shopping mall. RST, it's retail shopping. FWF at flex warehouses. We have a floor area for whole properties, leasable area. We have land building ratio. We have lot size, and last column, a build of this building when this actual building start or build. On same page, we can see comparables 400 Fort White Way. I was looking like don't see any evidence, and Google showed it's Oak Bluff, Manitoba, industrial leases there. And so let's go on page number 3, step by step. What I tried to save time, but now you look together. First comparables, 2479 Pembina, agent state $10.71. My evidence showed $11.54 per square foot. Lease started 2017. Another on same page, 47 Scarfield or 3147 Scarfield. Agent state $7.99. This showed $11 per square foot. It was my statement. Another comparables, 1114 Street. It's a downtown, yes, service garage, but lease gross at $31.65. On page number 5, it's same lease showed how it showed what they pay. It's gross lease. on page number 6. I have verify rent for 2 properties, 747 Osborne and 208 St. Anne Road. They showed land leases, $3.35 per square foot and $2.95 per square foot. If you divide this annual rent for improvement at this property, first will be on Osborne will be shown $24.55 per square foot lease, and 208 St. Anne will show estimate $14.43 per square foot. On page number 7, we can see 75 Scarfield Boulevard. It's office building, and we don't have this agent showed us very big square footage. Some 75 auto repair shop. I didn't find anything. We can see what tenants there. Manitoba Tourist Education, Electrical Corporation, Phonetic, Agri-Tex. This lease not exist. And this space lease, you can see $16.75 on last lease $13.50. What happened in this building? Comparable on page number 8, 750 Nairn Avenue, agent state $9.23. His evidence showed $11.79 net lease. On page number 9, 720 Nair Avenue, agent state $9. Owner showed $10.31 per square foot. Page number 10, 140 Bardman Road, agent state $10. Evidence showed $11.50 per square foot. On same page, 1322 Waverly Street, agent showed $6.55, and this evidence showed $12.95. Page number 11, 8075 Pembina, actual rent $11.50. It's you looking on units 9-1875, last one, with 9,350 square feet. A lease in March 2020 for $104,220. It gives us lease $11.50 per square foot. Page number 12, Lorimer. All it's several leases. All together occupy. You can see we have few vacant space. All together 122,942 area square footage. If you take out empty space, it will give us 96,460 square feet. And when we divide base rent 1.2 million for this amount, it gives us average for Larimer location $13.50. On page number 13, 301 Kennenston Boulevard.
If I may interject, I apologize for doing this, but that's new information. You're not reviewing what I provided there. You're creating an average based on some rent roll that neither the panel or I has seen before. I don't know that that's relevant.
Why I did average, because area what you provided, I could not find on information supported to us, provided to us.
Information that I provide.
Pardon me, Mr. Smith, what did you say?
I said that it's new information as it's not rebutting the information that I provided. It's providing new information and making calculations based on other tenants in the space that is not in evidence. It's clearly new information.
And you're
But-
you're referring specifically to Lorimor or just
Well,
generally?
in this particular case, I'm referring to Lorimer, but I believe I was going to say this earlier on a number of the other things, but I'll keep it to Lorimer for now. I'm
Okay.
conscious of our time.
Ms. Shable, perhaps you can skip Lorimor.
I presented all leases existed and agent has opportunity to show what lease he referred because I cannot match them. 1301 Kennenston Boulevard, it's has a lot of leases. That's why I showed average $13.36, but agent has opportunity to show directly what line lease he referred for. And it's a continuing on page 13, 14. On page 14, we can see flex space occupied. When I take this number, average rent $13.36. So it's a lot of leases. Agent will show us what he referred to. On page number 15, 1180 Winkler or 996 Lorimer. It showed same situation. I could not match with information provided to us. Agent will show us specific line, but I showed average on same page. You can see in this building average rent for $17.55. In another leases following on page 16 and 17. On page 18. 1290 Kennenston Boulevard, same situation, several leases. I showed that where I came across this $39.98 on same page, rental rate average $13.96, but all rent existing in this property following. Agent has opportunity to show the one he refers to. On page number 20, 1036 Waverly Street. We can see rent. I distinguish rent in units 1042 $9.10 and 1040 $8.85. It's support here. It's what agent provide to us, but they have different rents. They have rent $8.85 and $9.10. Yeah, it's here. Sorry, it's correct.
Thank you, Ms.
And
Shable.
last, that's it.
Thank you. Mr.
Now,
Smith.
any questions?
Mr. Smith, questions for Ms. Shable?
So I'm not quite sure how to approach this, I guess, Madam Chair. There's a lot here. And it certainly has a particular bent to it. It could, if I went through this line by line, we'd be here for quite some time, which I really don't want to do. So I can either ask questions or I guess provide my statements that would help clarify the information that's before us. What would you prefer that I do?
Well, I think you could ask questions. Here's not the time for a statement. You could make some of your statements in summation if you'd like to do it then.
Okay. Looking at page number 1 here, so you have a chart of, I gather, the 20 properties that we provided for VSG. The ATD rent that you've provided in that kind of middle column. Do we have any background on that? Start date, rent roll, end date, any of the other details of the terms?
Yes, it's why I have 20 pages. I went one by one. It showed what different, what your statement in our rent, verified rent, it's here.
So I guess to start with then, so you have some updated information on some of the leases that we provided here. Would you agree that I've already stated in my evidence that the lease information that we've provided was accurate and clear as of the date that the lease was struck, and it was presented in that way. We're not necessarily always privy to information when that lease changes later in time. Would you agree with that?
Yes, and I provide information what type of space here, what type of building is it, correct?
Yeah, so as a corollary to that, then you're aware also that within multi-tenant buildings, spaces do change, and that they can grow and shrink according to the needs of the particular tenancy or other tenants coming in, etc. So you may not find the exact same leased area as of April 1, 2021 that was referred to in an earlier lease. Is that fair to say?
I'm looking for 2020 reported to us, and doing my verification is least much higher. Plus my statement
So
here
to
is a
that end then,
sorry.
if we were to go back and select any one of these leases that starts before April 1, 2021, so date
No.
one at random, it really doesn't matter. If we looked at the 2014 lease for, say, 31 Scurfield of 44,825 square feet, that wouldn't necessarily be the same as of April 1, 2021, depending on whether that tenancy remained in occupancy, etc. Correct?
Correct. And my evidence support only end of 2020. All
Okay.
2020 reference day, yes, correct.
So let's skip forward here. I want to be conscious of our time. Page number 2, 400 Fort White Way. You've indicated an asking lease rate of $15 per square foot here. There's no information what space this is in regard to, if it's built out as office, what the time frame was, what length of term they're looking for. Do we have any detail on this? This is simply an asking rate, correct?
Yes. Oh, I have detail all rent that I verified. It's following up one by one when it's different.
So that is not a lease.
And they have
asking rate,
all
correct?
lease started, the area, everything there.
So again, Winnipeg Commercial Realtors, this is a listing, correct? Not a lease.
We talk about what? 400 Fort
The
White
same
Way?
thing we were talking about, 400 Fort White Way, bottom of page 2. This is a listing,
I
correct?
just showed why I cannot verify, because we don't have information. It's not belong city property. Another leases on 17 leases. I put information what leases in 2020 was reported to us. You can see its range maximum $18.29 per square foot, $15, $14. So it's much higher that you rely on.
Okay, I'm going to ask specific questions here. If we could keep the answers to those questions, that would be great. So 2479 Pembina Highway, you have an updated rent. That's fine. It changed since the original time frame. Your date is correct. That's fine. 47 Scurfield. Similarly, we have an updated rent at the bottom of page 3. That's fine. I don't dispute that things can change over time. Moving on to 111 Fort. So this is quite an interesting one. So it indicates here on page number 5 that the tenant is the loft. You're aware that there's more than one tenant in this building?
Yes, and comparable number 3, I look for 3,000 square feet recently rented. It's rented for $18.29.
Okay, so we're looking at 123 Fort. And you have 111 Fort, which is the parent property. It encompasses a number of tenancies here. You're aware that what you've listed on page number 5 is not the subject tenant, but is a hair salon.
I just tried to match what you showed. That's why I provide whole lease information so you can show it line what you rely on. But my information showed in this building that I really consider it right comparables. It's built in 2011 through 2019 for comparables. Showed lease between $12 and $18. So it's good comparables. I would be considered like my comparables. That's why I put all information here.
Okay, can we just, Ms. Shable, could you just answer briefly the question that is asked so we can get through this? Go ahead, Mr. Smith.
Thank you. Moving on to page 6 and the chart that you've provided here. So this is, I'm not sure that any of these are referred to in my particular information. So this is all new information, correct?
It's not new information. It's reported to us. You can see 747 Osborne on column number 2. It's reported 2020. It's a lease. Owner.
Let Mr. Smith ask his question. Okay,
So
Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So rather than provide the information on the individual comparables that we've provided, you provided an overall chart here that has information on a vast majority of other properties that are not referred to in evidence, correct?
Correct, but we look
So
in
this is new information, and is it not?
We ignore rest. We look in 208 St. Anne Road. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 road, and after 1, 2, 3, 4 road low, 747 Osborne. It's same information, was same chart was provided for both lands, for both properties, and I just support that 747 Osborne land lease. If you estimate to improvements, it will be $24.55. In 208 St. Anne, this information for the tenants, for the owner shows that it's again land lease 295. If you apply your square footage, it will be $14.43 per square foot. But we can ignore the rest of the information. We look for this specific line. I cannot take them out because we need to see what column about.
Certainly they could be taken out and referred to specifically as you're introducing a whole raft of new evidence. In any case, moving on to page 7.
Can we please move forward, please?
Please highlight
excuse me, we understand. We're only looking at 2 of these properties.
Only 2
The rest
properties.
are-
Rest ignore, please.
We will ignore them.
Time consuming. I didn't have time to play with it. Just to
Mr.
show
Smith?
out.
Thank you,
Next
Madam Chair.
question.
So page 7, 75 Skirfield. This isn't one of the properties that I've referred to in my comparables, is it?
Your comparables 75.
31 Skirfield is not 75 Skirfield, correct?
Your comparables number. Tadakona. Yes, please cross this page. It's not correct. It's new information. I was searching for one. It's Tadakona comparable number 12. I didn't verify it. Sorry. Correct. Cross page number 7. It's not evidence.
Okay, page numbers 8 and 9, which refer to 750 and 720 Nairn. So my comps 13 and 14.
Мгм.
You have new information here, which is fine. It's updated information on the specific property, but it doesn't indicate whether these are gross or net, correct?
It's a net lease because we can see rent income, $47,149 for 4,000 square feet, give us $11.79.
So they have provided the expenses for the property, but they don't indicate that those are paid by the tenant, correct?
They provide bottom what they was recovered. We look for specific net rent, for example, 720 Nairn, 45,361 is just net rent for 4,400 square feet, give us $10.31 per square foot.
So we have updated information on page 10 for 140 Warman, 1322 Waverly. That's all fine, not unexpected. Looking at Stone Brewing, that's fine. You've updated information there too, not in question. 900 Lorimer, significant amount of new information, correct? This is the 1350 average that you're presenting, which is
correct. I didn't can designate start to because lease you provided in time it's not matched. That's why I show just average for this building, $13.50. But now you have opportunity to support your evidence on page number 16. Let's go line by line.
Let's not. No, let's not. Mr. Smith is asking questions of your rebuttal evidence, Ms. Schabel, so he will continue with his questions.
So here's a slightly different question then. Is it your take that all leases should be as of April 1, 2021? If they're not, they're invalid. Is that kind of what you're indicating here? Because if you provide information on a lease that I've provided and either the size or whatnot have changed later in time, are you suggesting that invalidates the lease as of the time that it was struck?
I just suggest lease prior to reference date much higher that you provided to us.
Mr. Smith?
So looking at the rent roll, I see that there's no per square foot calculations here. On page number 12, it's cut off. So I'm not really sure what to say about that. I don't see anything in evidence there. Looking on 1301 Keniston, so same thing, you've done an average, presented all of the tenancies in the property. You're aware that a significant portion of this building is built out as office space, which will drive higher rental rates due to the construction costs.
You can see that, yes, they have office space and they have flex warehouse. If you look on page number 14, they separate average rent occupied by flex space only. And on page 15, no, not 15.
So again, that would be new information, correct?
I would be interested in what leases you rely on. I didn't match them. I didn't find them.
So again, to speak to that, when I state that a lease in a property such as 980 Lorimer was done in 2018 for a 5-year term, done in 2018, and you then present the information provided to the city as of April 1, 2020, is it not possible that that has changed between those timeframes?
Yes.
Okay.
What I showed, that it changed.
All right. 1180 Wilkes. 1180 Wilkes. 1180 Wilkes isn't in my evidence, is it?
It's 996 Lorimer Boulevard. It's second second property address, secondary.
So 4,112 square feet versus 5,996 Lorimer, you're saying? I'm trying to verify page
Yes,
15.
yes,
So that's 996 Lorimer.
yes.
Okay, so you have Exchange Income Corporation. You're aware that's an office tenancy?
And first we see we look only rent commercial rent annual $17.55. But on following page, all leases existing there. You can show us your lease. 5 of 45. Oh, I see 3-996 Dynasty Washroom $12.50.
So let's move on to page 16. So the specific tenant that I provided was 12.9, or sorry, the one that we're looking at. My comparable number 10, 996 Lorimer, 5,045 square feet, Dynasty bathrooms, 2016 lease, $12.50 a square foot. It's right there, correct?
Correct. And I look on all these buildings there on overall rent $17.55.
So again, are you aware of the build out in the other tenants that we're looking at there and how comparable they are to the subject? Are they fully built out as office space? I can verify that almost all of them are that I'm looking at here that have higher rental rates.
Okay,
So-
but again, if we're just focusing on your comparable, that's Dynasty bathrooms.
Correct.
And
Okay,
we have evidence about its rents there. We
great.
don't need to talk about the others.
Absolutely. Let's move forward here. So what do we have? 1290 Keniston. 1290 Keniston, Trans-Canada Brewing, Lux Barbecue. Okay, so there were some slight bumps in the rent for those two tenants that, again, we did not have access to in order to provide that updated information. Happy to agree with that. Slight updates.
But it is
And we have
rent much
supervised-
higher than reported.
If I may, moving on to page number 20, 1036 Waverly, which I've already stated is not my strongest comp. We have some slight updates to those rents as well, still well under $10 a square foot. Those would be my overall comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Seelan, do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions of the rebuttal. When we're finished the rebuttal, I do have a redirect question for the applicant. Thank you.
Mr. Whitbread, you're on mute.
I have no questions on the rebuttal. Thank you.
Okay, I don't either. Mr. Seelan, I'll allow your question for the applicant.
Thank you so much. With respect to the air conditioning space of 27,743 square feet, we know that space. Do we know exactly what that encompasses within the area in the building?
The 27,000.
Yes.
Yes, so it's the front portion of the building is what we're looking at there. That's air conditioned. Pardon me. So your showroom, retail, and your office.
Thank you. I appreciate the clarification. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I have no questions. So, Ms. Schabel, do you desire summation?
Yes, please. My opinion of annual rental value supported by comparables that very similar to the subject property. Agent rely on comparables located in industrial area, old building with old leases that undervalue that business assessment value. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schabel. Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So as I went through in great detail, there are significant issues with using big box retail as the basis for determining fair net rental rate. They really don't apply. So the best model is to look at the model that I have provided. The updated rents that the city has provided on a few of the comparables, I don't dispute, and would not materially change my valuation of the property. They fall in line with the overall range of comparables that are already provided in my information. So as stated, the model that we've applied is the most appropriate model using most updated rents. We would still apply $13 per square foot to the overall property. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. That concludes item number 1. So item number 1 took us 3 hours to finish. We went in great detail through the comparables. We had rebuttal evidence presented to us. The panel will just consider those questions asked and answered for the next docket items. So we would ask that we move through these docket items fairly quickly. In that, unless you'd like to present anything specific or unique, we'll take the evidence as presented already. Ms. Schabel, you can begin with item number 2.
File number 22-4070, 1310 Region Avenue West. We have business ID number is 56272, Birchwood Volkswagen business name. We assess annual rental value at $564,720. Our occupied premise area 32,840 square feet. Our overall rent $17.20. That includes occupancy cost. Our base rent $14.83. Same comparables. Based on comparables, the assessment is fair and should be confirmed at $564,720. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Schabel. Mr. Smith, do you have any questions?
I have no new questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Mr. Whitbread, do you have any questions?
I have none, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Seelan?
I don't have any questions, Madam Chair. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I have no questions. So, Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So just a quick correction to the city's information here. This is a new build property built in 2021, not 1986-87. And it's not the photograph that you can see on page 2 of the city's evidence there. It is the Birchwood Volkswagen dealership built in 2021. We've already had the supplemental 2021, 2022, and the new 2023 realty assessments under appeal before this board. They were all decided based on our analysis, which is the same information we're presenting here today, and they were based on a net rental rate of $13 per square foot, identical to the property that we were just looking at next door. So my information starts on page 3, built in 2021. We have an overall size for this leasable area of 32,840 square feet, including 8,600 plus square feet of mezzanine. Very low land to building ratio of just over 3 to 1. The photos begin on page 4. You can see the photos of the new building on site, as well as the rear of the building on page number 7. And some of the exterior site is shown on page 9. It's adjacent to the other one, same exact location. The remainder of our information is exactly the same. And if you flip forward to page 20, you can see that we use the same $13 per square foot net rental rate to produce the potential annual income. Adding in the expenses, which we're not in dispute on, that gives us our final ARV of $504,640 as shown on page 22. And the Board of Revision decision on the 2023 realty based on our $13 a square foot is included in the agenda. That is my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Ms. Shable, do you have any questions for the applicant?
No questions.
Thank you. Mr. Seelan?
No questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread?
I have none, thank you.
Thank you. I have no questions. That concludes item number 2. Item number 3 on our agenda is 1376 Regent. Ms. Shable, when you're ready, please.
File number is 22-4084. ID number is 31782. It's McGill Stephenson Company Limited. We assess business at $221,100 for occupied space 12,356 square feet with overall rent per square foot $17.89. This rent includes occupancy cost. So our base rent overall $15.60. Based on comparables, the assessment is fair and should be confirmed at $221,100. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shable. Mr. Smith?
I have no questions.
Thank you very much. Mr. Whitbread?
I have no questions, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Seelan?
Yes, just a quick question here. You have 2 spaces. You have a premise of 7,548 square feet, and you also have 4,808 square feet. Can you tell us what the difference is between the two those spaces?
You can see that we apply air conditioning only on 5,175 square feet. It's office space, and the rest some repair stuff happened. I think so.
Okay, thank you. That's all my questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Ms. Shable, just following up on Mr. Seelan's question, this property is divided into 2 premises. You've not previously divided the property into different premises. What are these premises?
This property multi-tenants, you can see leasable area over 32,000 square feet. Business occupied only 2 spaces, and 1 spaces we have access. We apply no air conditioning. That's why we divide into different spaces.
Yes, I see that there's no. Yeah, I see that there's no air conditioning on one of the spaces. One space is $15.41 and one base ARV per square foot, and one is $15.90. What are the 2 spaces?
Space when we apply air conditioner for 5,000, it's a finish, office finish. And we don't apply air conditioner. It's more service garage finish. How I can explain dividing into premises. But overall, we assess 12,000 square feet at $15.60 overall, generated by model.
Thank you very much. Mr. Smith?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So 1376 Regent Avenue West. Very brief bit of background. It's a larger property that has essentially 3 premises on it. You have the Kia dealership, which we're dealing with here, 1376 Regent. At the rear of the site, there's a collision center, 1 Owen. And then at the very front corner of the site, you have a gas station, car wash, C-store, which is not under appeal today. So that is what the site contains. 1376 Regent, the auto dealership building, which we're dealing with here, was originally a Saturn dealership. Birchwood has, given that the size was a little bit larger, they were able to reuse the site for a Kia dealership in recent years. If you flip forward to my page 3, you can see a bit of background. So we have the 2023 realty assessment that was under appeal. You can see the reduction, and it was based on our net rent of $12.50 per square foot. Built in 1997, it's a little bit older and certainly undersized for most modern dealerships. Flip forward to the photos, beginning on page 4, you can see the older improvements, I guess, of the front area, some office space, and then you have the rear service area. I don't specifically know what the breakout is, but I'm imagining that that is rear service area versus the front area, which would again lend credence to my 60-40 general split of these properties. Description is on page 8 if you wish to see it. The site is shown on page 10. The uppermost right building is the Kia dealership that is in question. It doesn't have that entire site for its use. It ends roughly halfway back to the Pandora Avenue access. And the remainder of our information remains the same. So again, we're looking at a property that is undersized for the market and for modern auto dealerships. It's a little bit older, a little bit more dated, and we've placed a rental rate of $12.50 per square foot on it. Adding in the expenses, we come to the final ARV of $182,830 rounded. And the decision from 2023 Realty is included in the addenda, as well as our workup, showing you that the auto dealership was based on a rent of $12.50 a square foot. And that is my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Ms. Shable, do you have questions for Mr. Smith?
No questions.
Thank you. Mr. Seelan?
No questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. And I have no questions. That concludes item number 3. Item number 4 on our agenda is 1401 Regent Avenue West. So, Ms. Shable, pardon me.
Yeah, can I start it?
Yeah, go ahead, Ms. Shable.
Thank you. File number 22-4083. ID business ID number is 1938. Business owner Birchwood Honda Center. We assess business at total annual rental value $425,940 for area of 25,944 square feet. Our overall rent, assessed rent, $16.42. This overall rent includes occupancy cost. Our base rent, $14.50. Subject property car dealership has 2 different buildings located off land over 150,000 square feet and visible area 32,621 square feet. We assess 25,944 square feet, and reported to us that it's owner occupied on page number 5. Based on my evidence, the assessment is fair and should be confirmed at $425,940. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Shable. Mr. Smith, do you have any questions?
I have no questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Mr. Seelan, do you have questions?
Yes, so this location that we're dealing with, is it 2 premises or 1 premise here?
2 businesses occupy this space.
And is the square footage based on the 2 businesses or just a single building?
It's this Honda Center occupy close to 26,000 square feet. But you see on page number 2, we have 2 buildings exist. So one of biggest building our business assessed inside under appeal.
Sorry, just for clarification, is it one building that's approximately 26,000 square feet, or is it two?
It's one building.
One building. Thank you. That's all my questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Seelan. Mr. Whitbread, do you have questions?
I have none, thank you.
Thank you. I have no questions. Oh, Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith?
I'm sorry, Madam Chair, we can't hear you, it's frozen.
Okay, must have just cut us out for a minute. Mr. Smith, when you're ready with your presentation, please.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. So to clarify, 1401 Regent Avenue West. So for realty, you can look at either my brief or the city's brief. There are two buildings on site, that being 1401 Regent, which is the first line Honda dealership, and then they have the second building, which is 1411, which is a used auto dealership. For business purposes, they're separated. So you have 1401, which is property we're dealing with here, and 1411 follows it. That being the older building. So moving forward, so the 25,944 square feet does apply to 1401 specifically. Are they still frozen?
Yeah, they can hear us.
Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, so jumping forward to my page 3, you can see the 2023 realty assessment and the reduction based on our net rent of $12 per square foot. Now, I'll point this out up front. That was based on the site as a whole, both the new building and the old building. I didn't break it down further for business, as that was the decision that we have before us. So we could have been marginally higher for the 1401 and marginally lower for 1411, but I did not make that distinction for business, as that was what we were looking at on an overall basis for the realty. So it's been applied to both buildings. So original age, 1986 for the used auto building, 2005. For the new dealership, we have a land to plan area ratio of 4.68 to 1, which is definitely on the small side. The photos begin on page 4. And you can see the showroom, the office area, parts, service, etc. And then the site is shown on page 8. The main building obviously being the bigger one, and the used auto building being 1411 off to the west side or the left side of the property. The remainder of our information remains the same, and we have applied a rate of $12 per square foot to this property, as well as 1411 Regent, and that gives you our potential annual income on page 19. Adding in the expenses on page 21, we come to a final ARV of $370,170. The addenda, of course, includes the INE and the decision of the 2023 realty for the subject property, and the workup indicating that it's based on $12 per square foot, encompassing both the 1401 and 1411. So that is my presentation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Schabel, do you have questions?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Seelan?
No questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread?
I have none, thank you.
Thank you. So, Mr. Smith, you sort of delved into item number 5. So we'll note that these sort of go together here. Ms. Schabel, you can start us with item 5, please.
File number 22-4082, business ID number 1939, same Birchwood Honda Center, same property. We apply $150,860 for area of occupied area, separate building, 4011 region, 6,677 square feet. Our overall rent per square foot, $17.35. This rent include occupancy cost. Our base assessed rent, $15.05. Based of my comparables, assessment is fair and should be confirmed, and $150,860. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Ms. Shable. Mr. Smith, do you have any questions?
I have done, thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Seelan?
No questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread?
I have none, thank you.
Thank you, and I have no questions. So, Mr. Smith, when you're ready, please.
Absolutely. So as already noted, this is the used auto dealership. This was the original Honda dealership on this site before they built the new one in 2006 or 5, whenever that was. So we're looking at 6,677 square feet, originally built in 1986. So it's an older building and certainly on the small side for an auto dealership now. That's why it's on the second rung as a used auto dealer. The page number 3, of course, notes the decision at $12 per square foot, as already presented. Photos are on pages 4 and 5. You can see the vintage of the building from those. All of the other information remains the same. And our summary is at the back again, applying the $12 per square foot rental rate. Our final ARV comes to $95,490. Again, the realty was the site as a whole. So rather than parse them out with an existing decision, we've applied the same rental rate to the overall property. The decision is in the addenda as well as all the other decisions for you to review. That is my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Ms. Shable, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread, do you have any questions?
I have none, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Seelan?
No questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. I have no questions. That concludes item number 5. Item number 6 on our agenda, Ms. Shable.
File number 22-4087. It's 180 Lawson Crescent. Business ID is 55944 for Volvo Cars Winnipeg. We assess business at total annual rental value of $601,140 for occupied space 33,905 square feet. This overall rent that includes occupancy cost $17.73. Base rent $15.38. So our based on a comparables assessment fair and should be confirmed at $601,140. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Ms. Shable. Mr. Smith, do you have any questions?
I do not. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Seelan, do you have questions?
No questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread?
I have none, thank you.
Thank you. I have no questions. Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So property we're dealing with, 180 Lawson Crescent, is a new build dealership, this being Jaguar Land Rover. So they were formerly located in the Point West Auto Park, and the brands required the ownership to build them a new site, new facility, and this is that property. So 180 Lawson and 200 Lawson, the following property, are located, if you look at my page number 10, they're located in that Fort Garry area. I've given you a map on page 10. If you wish to look at it, you can see their proximity but separation from the McGillivray and Kenaston retail big box node, as we're all aware of there. We're north of the tracks and on the east side, which is an industrial area historically, but the properties that are fronting on Kenaston are gradually being either torn down and redeveloped or redeveloped in their existing state. So 180 and 200 Lowson are located side by side. To the south of that, we have our comps 1290 Kenaston with Lux Barbecue, and then to the south of the crossroad, you have a collision center and the new Mercedes dealership, all in close proximity. So that's what we're looking at. You look at my page number 3, we have some background. You can see the 2023 realty assessment decision based on our net rental rate of $13 per square foot. Was built in 2021. We have a total leasable area of 33,905 square feet, including mezzanine area. And again, a subpar land to plan area ratio of 5.39 to 1 for the subject property. The sites are the size that they are. You can't expand them, so you need to live with the sites that are available in the locations that you want. Photos begin on page 4 and 5. You can see the front of house. Then we get into the rear. And I think this probably answers your earlier question, Mr. Seelan. It does seem like that tile is present in on the flooring for these newer dealerships by this owner anyway. More photos on pages 6 and onwards. We have a lot of vacant office area at the moment there. Site is shown on page 9, and you can see the relatively small overall size. Location on page 10. All of the rest of our information remains the same and identical to our 1300 and 1310 Regent Avenue new builds. We have applied $13 per square foot in our analysis. And when we add in the overall expenses, we come to a rounded ARV of $480,440. The 2023 realty decision and our analysis to support it are located in the addenda, as well as all of the other decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Ms. Shable, do you have any questions?
No question, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Whitbread?
I have none, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Seelan?
No questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes item number 6. Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 7, 200 Lowson Crescent. Ms. Shable?
File number 22-4086. Business ID number is 55446. Owner is Birchwood Lexus. The assess business, a total annual rental value of $723,240 for occupied space 41,000 square feet. Our overall rent per square foot that include cost $17.64. Our base rent $15.40. Property was built in 2020. Same, it's owner occupied based off same comparables. The assessment and fair and should be confirmed at $723,240. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Ms. Shable. Mr. Smith?
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Seelan?
No questions, Madam Chair. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread?
I have none, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, when you are ready, please.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. So, similar to the last property, which is adjacent to this, this is the new Birchwood Lexus dealership built in 2020 and 2021, essentially on the subject site. Is slightly smaller than the adjacent or rather larger than the adjacent property at 41,000 square feet. And it is total, yeah, we have a total 41,000 leasable area with a main floor of 37,500. Again, land to plan area ratio relatively under serviced at 4.49 to 1. And I should also point out these two properties are in an M2 zoning, so manufacturing general. Photos begin on page 4 and onwards. You can review those if you wish. And similar to our adjacent property and the other new builds on page 20, we've applied the $13 net per square foot rental rate. Adding in the overall expenses on page 22, we come to a rounded ARV of $635,500. And again, the realty decision and the supporting documentation is in the addenda for you to review. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Ms. Shable, do you have any questions?
No questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Mr. Whitbread?
I have none, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Seelan?
No questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just a quick question, Mr. Smith. What is you made sure to note the M2 zoning. What is the significance of the zoning?
Or in relation to the city's argument of big box retail being comparable and able to occupy a similar site, similar utility, that the majority of those would not be allowed in this particular zoning.
Okay. Thank you very much. That concludes item number 7. So we will move to item number 8. Ms. Shable, when you're ready, please.
File number 22-4090. Address 1 Olney Street. Business ID number 35179. Owner is Miguel Stephenson Company Limited. We assessed the business at annual rental value of $263,160 for area occupied area 15,646 square feet. Our overall rent per square foot is include cost $16.82, base rent $14.65. It's same property as on docket number 3. It's 3076 Region Avenue. Located in commercial zoning. This land area 220,000 square feet and leasable area 32,649 square feet. You already looked at it, has 3 different businesses. If you're going on page now, last page, number 6, our 15,000, it's Birchwood Collision Center Origin. Under appeal right now, it's owner occupied. We have Virtuous Kia, it was our item 3 docket. And we have another tenant called Gas Bar. It's not under appeal today. So based on evidence, same comparables, our the assessment is fair and should be confirmed and $263,160. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Ms. Shable. Mr. Smith, do you have any questions?
Just very briefly. So the subject property, you've got 2 areas, one being the 32,000 square feet plus. That takes into account the automobile dealership that we dealt with earlier, correct? As well as the store and all of that. But the property parcel use, complete auto dealer. So it's being assessed as an auto dealer.
Correct.
Okay. Those are all of my questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Mr. Seeland, do you have any questions?
Yes, is this auto dealer that sells cars, or is this auto collision center that fixes cars, or is it both?
It's both. According to reported information on page number 6, we have three different businesses: Birchwich Kia, Birchwich Collision Center of On Region under appeal right now, and Cobb Gas Bar. But it's one properties, and we designated car dealership together. You cannot separate them. It's one part of property, 3 buildings.
Understood. So the building that we're dealing with, the 15,646 square feet, is it collision or is it auto dealership?
Collision center,
Specifically collision.
correct.
Thank you. That's all my questions, Madam Chair. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Seeland. Mr. Whitbread, any questions?
I have none, thank you.
Thank you very much. And I have no questions. So, Mr. Smith.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So 1 Owen Street is the Birchwood Collision Center in the Regent area. I'll get you, we've already dealt with portion of this site, but I'll get you to flip quickly to page number 6. So looking at page 6, if you're there, the bottom left-hand corner is the collision center that we're dealing with. That's the 15,646 square feet. The 1376 Regent was the auto dealer, which is the top right-hand most. And then you have the C-store and the gas bar, which were not under dispute. But quite clearly, the collision center is not an auto dealer. It's not built in the same fashion, doesn't have the same finishes, etc. It's not subdivided like that. It isn't on the main road. It's tucked away in behind on the corner of Pandora and Owen. So looking at page number 3, bit of background for you again, the 2023 realty. The net rent that was used in the decision based on our report was $11.50 per square foot for the collision center. The photos of the property are on page 4. For some reason, we didn't include the interiors, which I have seen. The office area is quite small. It's, I think, well, it says it's 944 square feet, which is accurate. And the remainder of the building is a wide open service garage, essentially, with the overhead doors. Description on page 5 and onwards. The remainder of our comparables remain the same. And given our analysis of those comps in relation to the subject, location of it at the back of the site, the significant size of it at 1150 or 15,000 plus square feet, we've applied a rate of $11.50 a square foot. If you look at the city's one collision center comparable, it actually compares quite favorably to that particular comparable. So using $11.50, including the expenses, our final ARV is $213,900. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. Ms. Shable, do you have any questions?
No questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Mr. Whitbread?
I have none, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Seeland?
No questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. That concludes item number 8. So now we are on the final item on our docket, item number 9, 2420 McPhillips Street. Ms. Shable, when you're ready, please.
File number 22-4081. Business ID number is 40963. It's business Birchwood Hyundai. We assess business at a total annual rental value of $352,800. This occupied space 20,303 square feet with overall rent per square foot, $17.38. This rent includes the occupancy cost, so our base assessment rent, $15.08. The subject property was significantly renovated in 2019. It's located on 131 square feet of commercial C4 regional land and space 20,303 square feet usable area. It's same rent comparables. Lease provided to us is owner occupied space. So based off my comparables, the assessment is fair and should be confirmed and at $352,800. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Ms. Shable. Mr. Smith, do you have any questions?
I have no questions, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Seeland, do you have any questions?
Just quickly, do we know what was renovated with that renovation you referred to?
When you look on page number 2, original building was built in 2011. We have some addition 2019. That's why we came to 50 years 2015. I don't have information in front of me or specific pattern. Maybe.
Thank you. That's all my questions, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Seeland. Mr. Whitbread, do you have any questions?
I have none, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Whitbread. Mr. Smith, when you're ready, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So with regard to the renovation of the property in 2019, this is driven by the automotive brands themselves, and the renovation is essentially the branding of the auto dealer will change over time as they adjust colors and look, etc., and they require different packages essentially for the dealership. So as the dealership owner operator, you are required to do these upgrades, or you don't retain the representation of that particular brand. So that's what we're looking at there. The renovations were an exterior renovation. They have this kind of brown fish scale look on the new Hyundais if you look at the exterior, and they also did interior renovations in the showroom retail area. So that's the background on that. Originally built in 2011, renovated in 2019 up to the current brand standard. Page 3 gives you background. Again, 2023 realty assessment was reduced based on our net rental rate of $13 per square foot, representing the upgrading of this particular property. The overall leasable area, 20,303 square feet, including some mezzanine area. And the photos begin on page 4. So exterior, the front showroom and client areas, and the rear service garage. The site is shown on page 6. And the location on page number 7. So we're at the kind of the end of McPhillips here within the built-up area of the city. There's a couple of other auto dealers close proximity there, but you're essentially looking at the edge of the city. And again, it is removed from that Garden City retail node, which is to the south of the subject. All of our other information remains the same. As noted, we've applied $13 a square foot, adding in the expenses on page 19 gives you a rounded ARV of $310,570. The 2023 realty decision is in the addenda, as well as our supporting document showing that rental rate, as well as the remainder of our decisions. So just a quick note, I guess, all of these were under appeal for realty. All of the decisions were based on our analysis and our net rental rates. And in addition, all of the business appeals for the Point West Auto Park, the other major center for Birchwood, were based on our net rental rates as well as included in the addenda. That is my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Ms. Shable, do you have any questions?
No questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Whitbread,
I have none, thank you.
thank you. Mr. Seelan,
No questions, Madam Chair. Thank you so much.
thank you. And before we wrap up, Ms. Shable, would you desire summation regarding these items that we've heard today?
Yes, please. In my opinion, of value of all property of Nadoket supported by comparables, it's very similar to the subject property. They generally like comparables that in old building in industrial area, old leases, but some of his comparables really well, or his new building very well supported our assessed rent value between $14 and $15 per square foot. So based on his evidence, he undervalued total value subject property, subject business value. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Shable. Mr. Smith?
Just quick summary. So you're looking at two different valuation models essentially, and the cities is based on using big box retail as the comparable for the reasons that it's the same type of structure and could accommodate these particular uses. I've run through the how this is incorrect at detail. I won't get into that. So the city's model is essentially overvaluing it for the reasons stated. You need to come up with the appropriate model. We have done so. We've provided the information that we have, best information available that we have on showroom retail as well as service garage, not industrial. And the city's additional information on newer rents for some of the comparables certainly doesn't change the overall value that we would apply. It falls well within our range, and we're valuing these properties towards the upper end of the range of what we would find in the marketplace for them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Smith. So we have now heard all the items scheduled, and this hearing is now adjourned. I'd like to thank Ms. Shable and Mr. Smith for helping us get through our docket today. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for your time and your patience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you both.
Thank you.